Hi, Molly Gebler. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Here, let me finish the thought that I was going to tell you. So
Yes.
Marcus Aurelius, right?
Yes.
A very well-known Roman emperor he made a sign, and he posted it so that he would read it every single morning, and it was the first thing that he
chiseled
read.
it in a rock or something?
I think that they wrote.
Pictures?
I don't know. That's a good question. How did they?
I think it was pictures back then,
Well,
no?
it was papyrus, right? That was the first paper. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Anyways.
It said, today you will meet morons and backstabbers and petty people. They are, I'm paraphrasing,
Yeah,
right?
because I don't think they had
Yeah.
moron 300
Right.
years ago.
Today you will meet people who are going to be petty and dishonest with you and do things behind your back. You should know that before you interact with anybody. Don't judge them because they don't know what you know. They don't know what they're doing. They're not enlightened. But be prepared for them. And don't let them ruin your day, right? And I have been thinking more and more about that lately in various contexts.
Gotcha.
And certainly knowing that going into the day, right, helps those interactions, right? So, like...
Does that make you distrust people, or...?
I think it makes you more, uncaring, I guess, about what other people think about you.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I may have mentioned this in the last podcast. Like, lately I have surprised myself at how thin-skinned I actually am. You know, how it does bother me, like, when I know other people are, talking smack, right? And I know that, notwithstanding that, I know that when you take big risks and you make bold steps with your business, right, you make more enemies.
Right, because 99% of it is jealousy.
I think that's true.
Yeah,
I think that's true. But
it's easier to talk smack about you and put you down to make me feel bigger.
Well, and that's...
Not me personally, because I would never talk smack.
Well, no.
Right.
But the whole idea of don't take things personally, right? People do negative things to you, about you, behind your back, whatever, for their own reasons, right?
Right.
Did you ever...
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever do one of those 21-day no complaint challenges where you're not allowed to complain about anything for 21 days?
I'm sure my husband would love for me to take that.
Yeah. Like, it's... You want to look behind the curtain deep into your soul, Molly Gebler, right? Try to go a day.
I'm a judger. I don't know if I'm a complainer.
Well, that's kind of the same thing. It's a type of complaining.
Judging?
Yeah.
Somebody?
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, yeah, because you're not judging someone in a positive way usually, right?
I don't know. Sometimes I do.
No, but like, if you try to catch yourself, if you try to catch yourself when a negative thought comes into your head, and then you ask yourself, what's really happening here, right? Why am I judging this person, right? A couple things happen. Number one, you realize how that's a constant voice in your head, right? Something's either good or bad. I go towards it or away from it. But then when you ask yourself why, if you're truly, truly honest with yourself, right? I mean, totally candid with yourself, what you realize is, yes, it's often got nothing to do with them.
Right. Yeah.
Which is what Marcus Aurelius, I think, was saying.
Gosh, we really started this out deep.
I know.
Yeah.
It's about to get real up in here.
Well, I'm super excited, Alex Birchberg, if I could share.
What do you do?
Because I just came from a meeting at the Chagrin Cinema, and they are just so excited about our event, and they are just...
Which event
So
is
they're
this?
having the annual business meeting for us. It's there.
Yeah.
And we are taking over the entire theater. We have our own theater for 300 seats.
To be clear, for the kids listening at
Yes.
home, this is the Chagrin Valley Chamber of Commerce annual business meeting at which...
We're calling it the awards evening this year, so because it's taking a different... It's March 22nd. The public will be invited to the presentation portion.
Yeah.
There'll be an ad in the paper for people to attend because we have the speaker being Paul Landis, the
Navy SEAL.
No, Secret Service.
Secret
For
Service
the Kennedys, yes. But the cinema is just like they're just because I'm an out of the box crazy wild thinker and
that is true.
and
I will vouch for that.
I mean I'm getting a full length sequin count for this.
Is that true?
It is so true. It is so true.
Maybe I'll get one.
Maybe a tux. But like so I want like that's the level I'm at and I said to these two individuals I said listen. You know, I tend to think a bit out of the box and crazy thoughts, and so you need to tell me when I've reached. I mean, literally, they're giving. You know what? At the theater, when there's the poster right next to the theater that you're going into. It's the poster of whatever movie is in the theater. Like they're giving us that, so I'm gonna get a poster made with an Oscar that says the Chagrin
This
Chamber.
is the movie theater next to the Golf Dome. Up there.
Yeah. And then up atop, it'll say what movie's playing. It'll say the Chagrin Chamber. I mean, they're just whatever. You want that moved, we'll move it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is one of the reasons that you're super excited about this particular event is because you are a movie junkie?
No, I get super excited about it. You missed the marketing media event. That was, I think, one of our best events that we've had. Based on the, so what we did was we gathered marketing people and media people into a room, and we did a speed thing where people traveled to all the tables. Everyone had a raffle prize that they gave away. We had a presentation, and just based on the emails we received, it was so well. We had 75 people there. I mean, it was a huge thing. It was awesome. No, I get pretty excited about everything.
Yeah, but you are coincidentally a movie junkie.
I'm a movie junkie.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which.
Yes. I was trying to think if I saw anything recently.
Well, I saw The Girl on the Train yesterday.
Oh, I saw that.
Wow, that movie's disturbing.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
It's dark.
What did we just see? Well, I've been watching the Riverdale that has my friend's son in it. So I got caught up with that. I think of what. Oh, I saw The Founder.
That movie's amazing.
Yes.
I loved
He's not nice.
No. And it's funny because I listened to an interview of the screenwriter, or maybe the director, on NPR, and the interviewer asked him, after making this movie, do you like Ray Kroc or do you hate Ray Kroc? And he goes, I honestly don't know. Yeah,
because you love him for his go-get-em attitude and his confidence, but you hate him because he got it in not a nice way.
Yeah, I didn't know any of that stuff.
None of it.
Paul walking in right there.
Is that our Paul?
Yeah. You want to wave him in? Come on in, Paul!
In.
Oh.
Friends roam this country for many years.
Hi!
You just said that. We were just talking about Marcus Aurelius. I swear to God. Oh my goodness.
This will be the selfie upon selfies because, he's my original selfie man.
Yeah,
selfie partner, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Paul Marnecheck.
You got the bow tie kicking
today? Of course, always.
And it matches your
his
hat. Oh my goodness.
Oh!
This is going to be a good selfie.
Great selfie.
We should take you and I out of this selfie and make it just Paul.
Yes.
So real quick. Hi, Paul Marnecheck, councilman extraordinaire. How are you?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Good. Did you have a good day today?
I had a great day today.
You always have a good day. Hey, when's the last time you had a bad day, honestly? Like a legit bad day when asked that question, you were like, man, this day sucked.
Cheers.
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 Cheers. Cheers.
No, seriously, when's the last time you had a really bad day?
Well, I mean, I try and
It's all
find
personality.
I try and find the positive.
Right?
You do. That's why
in a day.
That's why I asked the question. Yeah.
And I would say the day after the Tribe losing the World Series was probably bad.
Okay.
Because the whole city was on this moment. I mean, if you remember, right around that time, we had successfully hosted the RNC. The Cavs had won in 7 games. Everything was moving our way. You just felt that, for whatever reason, the planets had aligned. And
For Cleveland.
For Cleveland.
Uh-huh.
This was Cleveland was getting their payback.
Right.
You know, the reward on faith or having faith
For like 50 years.
was coming all at once.
Yeah, right.
That this was just going to and it was just too it was too perfect. The same year the Cavs win. Successful. I mean,
Right.
so many, the old joke would have been, sorry, I have a cough. The old joke would have been, Cleveland will find a way. And
Maybe next year.
right, you're always waiting for next year. And when the Cavs go down 3-1, you're thinking, oh, okay,
Here we go.
it's going to happen again.
But
They find a way, and so it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was like a bad day. I'm sure if I thought back, there was some positives, but it was that like return to reality of
no, because
You
the
know.
Indians are going to do it this year.
right. But
If
you
they
just
follow the Cavs trail, the Cavs lost out the first round, and then they took it the second.
That's true.
So this will be the Indians'
But
year.
so that happened.
And the Cavs' year.
Yeah. That was like two months ago, right?
yeah.
So that's a testament, really, to your outlook, I would say, Paul. Ever since I've known you on life in general, that it takes that deep level of sadness for the entire city for Paul Marnecheck to have a bad day, right?
Love it. And Paul's doing something different with his do. I like it. It's a
Yes.
little longer on the top and then slicked back.
So I went to my barber, Ken. I go to a barber, and it's an actual barber, mind you.
Nice. Where's this?
It is in North Royalton,
Okay.
where I'm from.
Right.
His name's Ken. Really, really good guy. And I said, I want something kind of different. I kind of want to be able to, do something different with it. Because for a while I had that George Clooney kind of Roman cut. You kind of push it forward into the side a little bit. So he gave me this. Yeah, that's what I have in that picture.
I selfied with that picture a couple minutes ago.
Molly literally just selfied with
Yeah.
a picture of you.
So let me tell you though. So in that photo where I'm wearing the gold bow tie, the year of that they said you can wear black or gold, and so I decided I'm going to wear a gold bow tie. I searched like Nordstrom's, all the higher end nice places, Joseph A. Bank, etc. Could not find a gold bow tie. I happened to have once met a guy named Mark who owns a bow tie company called The Whatnot. I email him on a Saturday from Strongsville Mall saying, hey, I need this by like 11 o'clock Monday. I want it to be Cavs gold. If you can't do it, don't bother. He starts text messaging me photos of fabric swabs or swatches, whatever they're called. So I that picture was taken at 11 o'clock on a Monday. I picked the bow tie up at 10 o'clock that Monday and hustled out there to take it. So,
And we are referring to, for the folks at home, the Cleveland Business Connects, and you were honored with
I was one of the finalists for Networker of the Year.
Network.
The reason I bring that bow tie up is 2 years later, I emailed them and said I went to St. Columkill in Parma, Ohio, proud Knights. I said I would like it. Can you make me a bow tie that matches the tartan or the plaid pattern of St. Columkill? No idea what it's called because all these tartans have their own names. No idea what it's called. I sent him a picture of it, and I said, if you can't get it 100% dead on, don't bother. He got it dead on, and he makes these things in downtown Cleveland. He's a really great guy. But the point I'm making is it's nice when you can have that kind of level of trust.
Yeah.
Can we drill? Go ahead, Mom.
You'll have to whip this out for the annual business meeting. Because it's an Oscar theme this year. And I'll be in a gold sequin gown, so we'll match nicely if you wear that.
Does your husband need a bow tie?
Hate to steal it from you, but
It's not stealing.
Can we talk about bow ties for a little bit longer?
Yeah, sure.
So, I'd like to make a couple of observations. Number one, not everyone can get away with wearing a bow tie, right?
really,
No,
why?
I might be able to, but no, I think you're either a bow tie kind of a cat or you're not, right? So, Paul, you definitely are a bow tie kind of a cat, but you don't always wear a bow tie.
I do not.
So my question, and sometimes you wear a regular tie.
I do.
So
But always dressed to perfection.
very snappy, snappy dresser. So, my first question is, number one, how do you decide whether today's going to be a bow tie day or a regular tie day or, God forbid, a no tie day?
That's big.
How do you decide if it's a bow tie day or not?
Yeah,
It really depends on, I think, the people you're going to see.
interesting.
The type of day you have.
Oh,
And
so we're
what-
bow tie people.
Absolutely.
So in other words, your audience has to merit a bow tie. Not everyone gets a bow tie.
Correct.
Interesting.
I would.
If you were all right,
I would
let's-
grant that.
If it were just me, would you wear a bow tie?
Absolutely.
If it were just Alex, would you wear a bow tie?
Absolutely.
Well, let's throw out a couple more scenarios.
But
Yeah.
not all bow ties are created equal.
Oh.
So
I might get the gold one,
you might
whereas he
get
just
the-
would get a plaid.
Or he might not get a bow tie that has a story behind it.
Oh, they have
I don't know why we
stories.
have
Well,
to-
that had a story.
Yeah.
Does this one have a story? Tell us the story.
This is the pattern of the grade school I went to.
Oh.
And so this is the exact pattern of. And by the way, if I may just say, last week's episode with Gene
Yes.
was wonderful.
You liked it? That was
Are you a subscriber?
I am.
Did you subscribe because I put a challenge out there? Or were you a subscriber prior to my challenge on Facebook?
I think I was prior.
Okay.
But
Speaking
that was just a
of
good
that,
that was
thank
just
you.
a nice episode.
Thank
It was really
you
good.
very much.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, do you think we should introduce our guest? I think we're how many minutes in, and our
here we
friends don't
here we
even.
are just
that is
jibber-jabbering
why.
away.
Well, this is the magic of editing.
Yes.
Just
No,
put this part at the beginning, and they'll never know.
I don't know if our name is that.
Yeah, here, let's do that. This is important. We should have done that by now.
Yes, we should have. Come on.
Although,
Better
I mean,
than
to be
that.
fair, at this point, presumably our amazing audience has read Nellie's description and bio before
That
they
is
started
true.
listening. But let's check this box.
Yes.
Do you
yes.
want to? Do you want to?
No, you go
do
ahead.
the honors. Okay,
You
it will
go
be my
ahead.
honor.
It's
Oh,
well.
it's mine.
So the among the credentials that run miles and miles long for Councilman Paul Marnecheck of the great city of North Royalton.
It is
North Royalton.
North Royalton.
North Royalton. How many population?
You want my ward or the city?
Your ward.
Okay. Either way.
8,000 residents.
8,000 people.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
elected
8,000
in
residents.
2009, re-elected in 2011, and then unopposed, which is a winner in any book, in 13 and then again in 15.
Mm-hmm.
So he is no newbie to
No.
North
No,
Royalton.
I will tell you this, Molly, and all of you kids listening at home, you better keep an eye on Councilman Paul Marnecheck because he's going. This kid is going places,
Yes,
man.
yes.
That city
Yeah.
really needs to hold on to Paul Marnecheck.
Well, would you want to be mayor? Do they have a mayor?
There is a mayor,
Okay.
but Alex, you raise a good point in that in many communities, not all, but many, you have something called term limits, and that means, as an elected official, there is an expiration date on how long I can serve.
So you have terms in North Royalton?
We have term limits,
Okay.
and I say unfortunately, and I understand the concept of them.
Right.
But I think in practice, I feel they have been to the detriment of public service. And I'll tell you that because you don't have, in my opinion, and I'm not speaking to the quality of the person serving, the character of the person serving, I'm saying you will never have somebody that has years and years of experience. You'll always have somebody who will have at most in City Council's case, 12 years of service. Now, for state rep and state senate, that is 8 years of continuous service. So that's not, in my opinion, a lot of time. Whereas you will then have people in the bureaucracy that have those career 20, 30 years. So, in my opinion, and this is nonpartisan, non-political, the institutional knowledge then lies with the bureaucracy, not with the elected official.
Well, and Congress does not have term limits. Or
That is correct.
Right?
Congress doesn't.
So that's why you would have like a Ted Kennedy serving for like 40 years.
Right.
Or,
And then you have the mayor of Woodmere who is doing incredible things and has changed Woodmere like no one's business, and he's now termed.
Right.
So let me ask you
And that
this.
sucks.
So-
you have somebody like, let's say, the mayor of Brecksville, who agree or disagree with Mayor Ruby. He has been able, and this is the same case for the mayor of Beechwood, Merle Gordon, Gary Starr, the mayor of Middlebrook Heights. They've really been able to impart their character or a singular vision because they've been mayor of that community 20-ish years.
Yeah.
I think Mayor Ruby might be rocking about 30 years.
Wow.
Merle Gordon might be, longer than 12.
Right.
So then you're able to say, I have a vision for the community.
Yeah.
And as anybody who's watched the city of Cleveland knows, it takes years to get some things done.
I mean, at the end of the day, right, term limits either favor or disfavor a candidate based on the voter's knowledge, right? And what I mean by that is the incumbent tends to have an advantage just by name recognition, but they shouldn't have an advantage if all of the voters are paying attention, right? If voters are knowledgeable about issues and can intelligently say our elected official has done a good job or not a good job, and this other person running against him or her, I believe, can do a better job. I mean, to be able to make that assessment, you have to be an informed voter, right?
Yeah.
If everyone was an informed voter, then term limits would never be a good idea, right? Because everybody would always be voting from a position of information and knowledge.
Yeah, but information and knowledge could be my information and my knowledge versus his information and his knowledge.
Well, but I guess what I'm saying is, right, well, here, let me ask it this way. Is there a circumstance in your mind when term limits are a good idea? And has there ever been?
I think that,
I would say term limits are only a good idea if the process isn't fair.
Okay.
And I will point to, there's some great examples out there of individuals who were great public servants, in my opinion. The process was fair, but term limits meant they could no longer serve.
So in that case, term limits are a bad idea.
Correct.
Were they initially created, and this is a history lesson?
They were created, I believe, in '94.
Anywhere?
No, I'm in
Ohio.
I believe there was a movement in '94-ish, and I might be
have them,
and I might be a little. So this is going to be a little, maybe not a direct line. So just let me kind of talk this out. I believe it was right around '94, if you remember. Nationally, the Democrats had held the U.S. House of Representatives about 40 years.
Okay.
That was right around, and then Newt Gingrich rose, contract with America, either with or for America, and one of his platforms on that was congressional term limits.
Okay.
I believe that's right around the time Ohio adopted them, and I believe at that time the Ohio House, I believe Vern Reif had been Speaker for a good period of time. So you had individuals that kind of embodied that institution. They'd been there for so long, and I think that's, for whatever reason, and I'm sure there were reasons, I just don't know them offhand. There was this movement of we need to limit how long somebody could be in office. Because again, that was right around the time period also, from a historical perspective, 94 was, I believe, the last time a sitting Speaker of the U.S. House was beat in an election, Tom Foley, from, I believe, Washington. So there was this kick all the bums out, incumbency is a bad thing, we need new, fresh. And now we're enough past it to see, I think, kind of the results of it. So that's kind of a disjointed...
Well, here, I mean...
I feel like we're dipping our toe into some
political
discussion.
No, this is very historic.
But yes, it's factual.
But term limits affect all parties.
Well, except
well,
let me push back in one way.
Council person.
And I'm approaching it from a public,
we will be
talking a good governance standpoint of.
So a cynic might argue, that, and I am not a cynic, but if I were, I would argue this, that things like term limits and redistricting, and other sort of machinations, like some people, I don't know, is gerrymandering the same as redistricting? Are those two different things? I think they're kind of related, aren't they? Maybe gerrymandering is a pejorative way of saying redistricting. Yes. Is that accurate?
I think it's not a nice way of saying it, isn't it?
Well, gerrymandering was named after a guy named Elbridge Gerry, who drew boundaries that looked like a salamander.
Yeah. So
because they were just
see, I didn't know that. That's
ridiculous.
Interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting.
But the arguably, again, a cynic might say that the party who suddenly gets some amount of power and wants to either roll something back or maintain their power will create rules sometimes that make it easier for them to either maintain power or at least keep the other party from doing what they've been doing for the last multiple terms. So like FDR, right? A good example, right? 3-term president. Was he the only 3-term president?
Yeah.
Right? 3-term president, and his 4-term. He was a 4-term president.
He didn't finish his 4th.
That's right.
He died like 90 days in, and Harry Truman took
But
over.
his initiatives were so revolutionary, so sweeping, right? Social Security, for example, that he became this badge of, well, he's another, king. He's a king, right? He's officially no longer a democratic leader, right? He is now effectively an emperor. We can't have that again. So they passed a constitutional amendment saying...
So it was right after his term that
2 terms after that, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
before that it had just been, a gentleman's agreement is an old-fashioned term.
Yeah.
But it was a gentleman's agreement because Washington only served 8 years. Nobody could possibly need more time.
Right.
No one will eclipse. Just like, I believe when James Monroe was first elected, I think like one electoral college voter threw their vote away, so that Washington was the only one unanimously elected by the electoral college.
Interesting.
Because there's this deification of Washington that nothing will ever. I think, as you know, I am obviously very interested in public governance. I think good governance is sometimes impacted poorly by, I don't know why I'm being so careful with my words. I think term limits in some instances when you have a really good elected official.
Yeah. No.
Somebody whose heart is in the right place.
That's right.
And you look at, and I'm sure Alex and Molly, you're both very, very intelligent. I'm sure there's a better way. Yeah, sure. So there's a better way to say this, but it's something like change is incremental, and the changes that my grandfather started, my grandchildren may enjoy.
Right.
And you sometimes need longer than 8, 10, 12 years to really see a project.
Yeah.
Is there ever an opportunity to turn it over, or in those incidents where somebody's doing such amazing things and they're terming for the...
it would depend on each situation. So in a community, you could probably do it community by community, but it would be difficult.
Because I think of Mayor Smith of Woodmere.
Yeah.
And I think he feels the same way, not to speak on his behalf, but I think he knows he's doing great things to that community and has done great things and feels he still can do great things. And
Well, I'll tell you this, Paul. You could be that voice that speaks out against term limits, and I think that you have, as you know, Molly says that I have a man crush on you, which is not true.
It's mutual.
oh,
Maybe-
see, and you just
maybe-
exalted and said it wasn't
maybe it's,
true.
well, I mean, I didn't want to
Unbelievable.
embarrass Paul. I will say this: I've known a lot of people in public service, and Paul Marnecheck is definitely more genuine than most of those people,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And it's both refreshing, right, but scary, because what you hope, right, is number one, that you go much farther, right, even though I know you love your city,
I do.
right, I know you do, but you're bigger than, I mean, I love your city too, but you're bigger than it, right, and number one, and number two, what you also hope, and I'm confident, this is, you hope that you don't get guys like you don't get drowned out by cynics,
Yeah.
by establishment politicians, right? I mean, reformists have an uphill battle, and you want to talk about term limits, right? Well, getting rid of term limits is a difficult thing to do, right? Getting rid of anything that's been around for a long time is difficult. But if anyone can do it, you could probably do
No,
it.
I appreciate it.
On council,
Yeah.
I know that here, and I should be attending 13 different communities, and I have attended all of their council meetings. However, I tend to visit the Chagrin one a little bit more often. And each council person has a personality.
Right.
You know the one that's always going to vote no. You know the one that is always going to ask the questions, the question guy or girl. Who are you on your council? Do you have a personality, or do you go strictly with each?
It's case by case.
Yeah.
And I think my city council, I'm fortunate in
How many do
that
you have?
we have 6 wards.
Okay.
So North Royalton is divided into 6 equal wards. We have 1 at large, which serves as council president, and then we have a mayor.
Okay.
So a total of 7.
Okay.
And it's fascinating when you look at different communities, because a lot of the ways their city councils are set up, it just came organically. Some communities may have 4 wards, 3 at large. Some communities have multiple wards, 1 at large that serves as council president that only votes in the event of a tie. So it's
All different.
it really is. You have some communities that have trustees. Like Olmsted Township has 3 trustees,
Right.
just because that's just the way organically their system came about.
I ran for council in Wickliffe.
You did?
I didn't
did.
know that.
I
Me
did,
neither.
yes.
Oh.
In 2005, maybe?
Okay.
And the councilman I ran against for my ward
Yeah.
was the same councilman as when I was a child, which I brought up in every debate I possibly could because of the fact that
Right.
he was kind of, and had the attitude of, and I didn't win, but had the attitude of, can't even believe you're running against me. I've been here who are you to run against? But it is just an interesting field to get into.
Yeah.
And you've been in it long enough that I don't think it's going to beat you down, because it probably would have already.
Well, when
But
you
you
look at it-
tend to see people get a little
Yeah.
angry and old, and
Yeah.
well, how do you not?
Well, I honestly, truly enjoy the fact that I'm helping shape the community I live in. I mean, it sounds, trite, but I still enjoy it. And that's not to say I don't occasionally, complain about something, but I honestly and truly enjoy being able to point to specific instances that I know have been made better. I really enjoy it.
And you also enjoy, or at least, I don't know if it's that you enjoy it or that you just don't hate it, right? But the running for office, right? That's the part for me that I would find the most challenging. Having to, constantly go out and repeat yourself
And there's lots of rules. My
yeah.
sign didn't say 4. It was Gebler Ward something, which indicated I already had the ward. And he, of course, went to the
Ohio
board.
Ethics Commission.
And I then
Board of
had
Elections,
to, it actually worked a little in my favor because I knocked on every door and I said, I apologize for having to bother you, but I now have to put this little sticker that says 4 on your sign because, that my opponent called and tattled on me and now I have to. So it actually made him look like an idiot, but there's all these little.
Oh, you're 100% right.
Although you were got to run unopposed for a couple of years, so that's always a good day, right?
Not the first 2.
Right. Yeah. And were you obviously it was somebody that had the position the first time, right? Okay. Well, I guess not obviously. It could have been 2 newbies.
True.
Right.
But no, it
your
wasn't.
term.
I
So you dethroned, deseated,
Deceived.
kicked out,
No. It's 2 guys. We both ran.
making them all up.
We both ran and.
Oh, you meant de-seated.
Deseated.
Oh.
Yeah. You got
deceited.
me. Yeah, you got me. Yeah.
Got it.
Dethroned or
Yeah,
deseated?
because Paul doesn't deceive.
No, he does
But
not.
but he does de-seat.
Here we go.
No, that's but you like that. You like running for your seat.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I do enjoy trying to communicate with the residents. So I'll give you a quick example. Is this morning at about 6 a.m. I sent out a newsletter to my ward about stuff going on because that's the.
And what's going on in your ward?
We got in the city as well.
Okay.
And the reason I pointed out is it allowed people to respond. So I don't look at it so much as let me talk to you. I view it as how many times have you, and I think, Molly, you and I have done this. Oh, I've been meaning to call you and you see the person. So I think I have people that I represent who say to me, oh, I've been meaning, I know they've been meaning to email or call me. If I send them an email, it's an easy way, just respond.
Reply, yeah.
It's not, what's Paul's email address, or it's just reply. And probably majority of the responses I get have nothing to do with what I put in my newsletter. It's, hey, what about this issue?
I've been meaning to.
Right. So it's more of an easy.
It's a touch.
Right.
You're touching your people.
Right.
Not in that way, Alex. Which is, of course, is
Well, we haven't really
I know.
scratched the surface.
I'm waiting
of
for you
Paul's
to say something so I can bring my prop out.
your prop.
You want to
that.
pause it and tell me
What prop are you
No,
talking
I'm gonna.
about?
Why, Molly? What is it you'd like me to say?
Go through your list.
All right, here.
Of
So, member of the board of directors of the Catholic Charities.
Yes.
yes.
Right.
So can I answer? I think I've noticed a trend. You guys at the end ask a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's your biggest success?
Yes.
That's one of them. Yes.
And I kind of want to answer that early, if that's okay.
Please.
Because I
Ordinarily, we would say no
I
way,
understand.
guest, no talking out of turn. But
I
for
understand,
you are a
but
sitting councilman.
no,
Go ahead.
friend of the
And
podcast.
who knows when we're gonna
Friend of the podcast.
move to North Royalton?
Number one, we got some great homes in North Royalton. If you want to move there, either one of
Okay.
you. We'll
I may have to
happily
pretty
accept.
Go ahead.
Number one. But my
Leave an
greatest
empty
success, I really reflected on the word greatest in that. And I don't want to say it was my biggest or my most notable success. I kind of want to point out, and I didn't even realize it at the time, but the thing that put me on the path to become the person I am today. And it's something that thousands of people do every year.
Quit smoking.
My greatest success, I view, was when I got into Kent State. And I point that out because I can draw a clear and straight line between being accepted at Kent State, becoming elected, getting onto some of these boards. So I view, and I didn't even know it at the time, my greatest success was getting into Kent State, because that put me on a path to where I am today.
And my biggest success was being kicked out of Kent State.
That was also Kent State's biggest success.
But so
interesting, Paul.
Yeah.
So you can connect the dots, and it's almost like that one movie where
the Butterfly Effect.
No, I was thinking more of the one where he wins the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and all.
Oh yeah,
What
that's
is that?
Slumdog Millionaire.
Oh, that's such a good
That was a
movie.
good movie.
And I think about stuff like that, like when Paul's saying something that maybe in my head I'm saying, oh, that's because I'm not a politician person, politics, that I'm saying, oh, I better remember that because I think that's going to come on my Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That's going to be one of the questions. That's why he's in front of me saying it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
But you said Kent State when I said Catholic Charities. So there's apparently in your mind a line between from Kent State to you serving on the board of Catholic Charities.
Absolutely. I think Kent State helped instill in me, or maybe not instill, but develop that love of community service. And
why is that? How so?
Did you do the Newman Center?
Yeah, I did the Newman Center at Kent State. That's the
Catholic.
The church there. It was actually, I was a Eucharistic minister there.
What year were you at Kent?
You asking when I started, when I graduated?
Yeah, what year did you... Well, I was only there 1 year, so what year did you...
Well, he thinks everyone goes to college for 1 year.
What year did
Hey, it's better than what they did in, what was it, Billy Madison?
Right.
Everybody goes to college, or Tommy Boy, everybody goes to college for 7 years. Yeah, they're called doctors.
What year did you start Kent State?
I started in August of 2000.
Okay.
And then I finished my bachelor's.
He's a little younger.
Finished my bachelor's December of 2003, and then my master's took a little bit longer, May of 2010.
And you teach there now, yes?
No, I don't.
No, okay.
I do not.
You were an adjunct professor somewhere, no?
I have taught at Tri-C.
Okay, got it.
Community college.
What do you teach?
Public administration.
Public
Got
administration.
But to your question of how I draw a line from Kent State to, which is public university, to being on the board of directors for Catholic Charities.
Yeah.
It instilled in me a desire to give back to the community, and thanks to Kent State. So I should probably tell you why, or the path the line takes. Kent State has a program, and so when I was visiting colleges as a senior at Padua, I asked, do you have, where Molly's dad taught, the Padua Franciscan High School.
So for the kids at home, Molly just whipped out a Padua coaching staff T-shirt as soon as you said Padua, because Molly's timing is that good.
Yeah. So when I was going around, I knew I wanted to be a political science major. I knew I had an interest in public policy and governance, and that's what I was passionate about, the social sciences. And I would go and I would ask, do you have any programs, when I would do the visits, where you're able to go and live and work in D.C.? And the best one that I found was the Washington Program in National Issues at Kent State, where for a semester, for spring semester, you live and work in D.C. And a professor from Kent State goes with the students and lives out there. And so it was the cleanest that I was aware of. And I'm not saying I looked at every, so I don't want one of your listeners to say, well, didn't Paul know of X program?
Right.
Of the universities I looked at and the research I did while I was enjoying my senior year in high school, Kent State had this program where the professor goes there. And I knew, working back in my head, I want to do that program if I'm accepted at Kent. Kent accepts me, I do that program, I go out there, I managed to get a summer job due to the alumni the alumni presence out there, past participants in this program. I live in this guy named Jeff's basement. Him and his wife are both Kent State grads. They rented me a room in their basement, which at the time I thought was a lot of money. But now looking at what they could have charged me for how nice of a home they had, they gave me far below market rate. And I realized I want to go back to where I'm from, Cuyahoga County, and do good. I could have stayed out there, worked in D.C., and been in D.C. and really enjoyed myself. And hopefully I would have been able to do good. But I realized, you know what? I want to go back to where I'm from. Many of the people I went to high school with and college with weren't going back to where they were from. They were getting jobs outside of Ohio, outside of Cuyahoga County.
Yeah.
And you were from Parma, yes.
I'm from Seven Hills,
Seven Hills, okay.
but I went to school
Gotcha.
in Parma,
Yep.
which is right next to it. So I decided to come back, and then I realized, okay, I've made this decision to come back to where I'm from, the Seven Hills, Parma, Cuyahoga County, and that's why when opportunities like being able to serve on the board of Catholic Charities, it feeds my soul, because that's one of the reasons I came back, is to try and get involved. Is that an accurate connection?
It does.
Did you come back to work and then go to Cozy, or where like when you came back, did you have a job, or did you just come back and then?
I did not have a job when I came back.
Okay.
I managed to get involved, go back, get a master's degree. Things lined up for me where I was able to find employment. Where I worked for the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office in something called the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, which, short plug, is a statewide task force of about 300 or so law enforcement agencies that work to locate and prosecute traders and creators of child pornography, as well as educate children of the dangers they put themselves in with selfies, with sexting. It's a Department of Justice funded program. It does phenomenal work. But again, it was part of that mission of, I didn't just have a day job. I was able to do something where I was able to know good is coming about this.
It's really, I have to tell you, it's really amazing that, we didn't even get through most of the rest of your list. No, but everything on your list.
Hard to believe a politician would just get,
on a soapbox?
No. Maybe.
No, but everything on your list is nonprofit, right? It's all for the purpose and with the result of helping large amounts of people, right? And not for any kind of personal remuneration, right? So you got the Catholic Charities, you got the Greater Cleveland Partnership, where you started as, and Cozy's a different arm, I guess, but you started at Cozy as a membership advisor, and you're now the membership development.
I actually started as a manager of small business solutions.
Okay.
So I may have given you an erroneous, that might be a Scribner's error, let's say.
It's not important.
But
this was probably our person.
I'm not worried about it.
No, Nellie never screws up.
No.
It's probably your a LinkedIn issue.
But also by the same notion, Cozy gave me an opportunity.
Yeah.
So in 2012, a new county prosecutor came in, and he was very clear early on with his policy, which was if you held elected office and worked at the prosecutor's office, you had to choose. You could either continue to work there and not run for re-election, so he didn't make you resign. You could serve out the balance of your term. You just couldn't run again.
Right.
Or, if you wanted to run again, you could leave the office. And I started looking around for other employment opportunities, and somehow I managed to convince Cozy to hire me when I had no experience in the business community. And since then, I was able to run for re-election, and since then, they've been very supportive and have actually promoted me from within to my current position.
By the way, your current term, when's it over? How far into it are you?
I'm on the ballot this year.
So you're running for one more term. Is that what you're saying?
I'm on the November ballot. We don't have a primary. So.
Okay, and is that a term-limited position? Can you keep running?
No, City Council has term limits. I can serve 6 consecutive 2-year terms.
So this would be your 4th.
This will be my 5th.
Your 5th. Got it. And then you're going to run for Congress.
Mayor.
All right. Okay. And then I think the most interesting thing about Paul, aside from the fact that he is was on the Cleveland Browns fan advisory board, is that he
You have no idea how happy I am that I made it on that board.
Yeah?
And honestly, some of the earliest memories I have involve the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
And I think you all know the term like fanboy, like when someone just geeks out and gets really excited.
Right.
When the notice came through that the Cleveland Browns were looking for a fan advisory board, I
Lost
knew.
your mind.
I mean, and I worked harder on that application than probably many of the other things in my life.
Many of the players? I'm just kidding.
Maybe. But I worked, and I was so excited when I got an interview. I had to go and interview for that board. That was not just, we'll get some people in a room. I prepared the night before. I came up with a platform. I was over the moon
Awesome.
when the Browns picked
Wow.
me to be on their fan advisory board.
How many members on that board?
I think there was about 20.
Okay.
And then is it just 1 year? And then
It was 1 year, and then they've had other boards.
Okay.
So I did my 1 year term, and it was just, I mean, it was one of the things that I'll probably like for the rest of my life.
And just for the people listening, he's lit up
Yeah.
like a
Like a
light bulb.
I mean, there's just something, and I'm sure psychologists that are listening there's probably a term for it. There's just an emotional connection.
Yeah.
They're not the Cleveland Browns. They're my Cleveland
The
Browns.
thing of it is, right, there's this contradiction there because you and the other members of the fan advisory board were probably all just as geeky as you just described yourself, but most of Cleveland Browns fans spend a lot of their time pissed off. Right?
So I had to sign a confidentiality agreement. Truthfully,
Right.
I really did.
It's probably not enforceable. You can talk about it whatever you want.
I'm
Go
not
ahead.
going to cross the Browns. What are you shooting?
I'll represent you. You'll be fine.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, he won't represent
But-
me, and I fell in his parking lot.
We
You were fine.
The thing I liked about
Yeah.
the fan advisory board is it wasn't just a tool for them to gather fans and try and use them for positive promotion.
Yeah.
They honestly, and there was a guy named Kevin Griffin who ran it, who honestly wanted feedback. And they would email us and text us during the game. Hey, what did you think of this? Hey, we're going to try this out at the game. Let us know as soon as it happens.
Yeah.
And I'm pantomiming texting, like I have a phone in my hands. But they
You text so aggressively.
I do. Well, it's the Browns. I was on it. But it was a true way, and they really wanted feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
No, what I was going to say was that the most interesting thing on your illustrious resume is that you were on the Tonight Show.
The Today Show.
No, was that to the Today Show
Me?
when you did the Trump impression?
Oh no, I was on SNL.
Oh, that was SNL. That's right. Colin Jost.
I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My Trump impression, by the way, is terrible.
It was a little terrible.
Oh, it's but
Oh, I thought it was dead on. It was not far off, honestly.
And the white T-shirt was my favorite
Well-
because that was shocking.
Yeah,
to
that's
me.
unusual.
well, the reason, if I may,
Yes.
was that was a uniform. I was a volunteer
Oh, for the RNC.
for the RNC, and I happened to be on East 4th. And
Got you.
so that was also the week in the CLE, the Twitter account in the CLE asks for guest tweeters. And I signed up for that week. So on Twitter, I was in the CLE. So I wanted to be somewhere where I could take good pictures
Gotcha.
and help the account out.
Right.
And that was East 4th,
Yeah,
which
there you
was
were.
the spot. And I saw Colin Jost, and I'm figuring, I went up. Hey, you Colin Jost? Yeah. And he asked me, will you do a Trump impression? And I'm like, well, okay. So I have been on SNL in possibly the world's worst Donald Trump impression.
Well, so Nellie, I'm sure, will be posting that link onto
Yes.
the Best Podcast Ever website.
That's-
So the 20,000 plus fans,
That's
Yes.
proof that nothing, if
Of
it
our
makes the internet, ever
podcast.
dies.
right? You'll want to go there and check out this impression because it is dead on.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's dead on. What are you talking about? Paul,
Yeah.
you read a lot of books?
Not as many as I'd like to,
I don't read it.
but will you include audiobooks?
Yes.
Then yes.
What was the last good one that you read or listened to?
I just started to re-listen to my favorite book of all time, fiction, The Great Gatsby.
Yeah? I never read that.
I'm stifling a cough.
You look very uncomfortable. You've been coughing and...
I've been trying to hold it in because I want to
You want to bring your A game.
I want to bring my A game.
Oh, you're fine.
When Molly's in the room,
That's,
A game is required.
It's true.
But
that's why it's my man.
I'll tell you, I really like, oh God.
F. Scott Fitzgerald.
I do, but The Passages of Power by Robert Caro.
Oh,
it is a fascinating, in-depth examination of LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Huh.
And
To check that out.
is long.
Do you listen to it or you read it?
I listen to it. The reason I like audiobooks, unabridged, is because you get the voice. And I feel the spoken word is superior to the written word because then you get inflection, then you get tone, then you get passion.
Yeah.
And I love a well-written book spoken by a talented vocal artist. You get that, and I'm over the moon.
You never ask me you always ask me what book I read, and then you make fun of me that I don't read, but you never ask me what I listen to.
Oh, I didn't know. I assumed
here I
that
am,
you
your
neither
advocate.
read nor listen to books. I'm sorry, Molly. I
my
apologize.
last one I listened to was Jackie O's release of her interview with the only interview she did, and then she locked it up for 50 years and just released it.
Well,
Not just released it.
She doesn't
but-
get enough credit. I mean, you
it's-
talk about, and I've never been widowed, nor have I ever been widowed on such a public stage. I mean, you think about, she was on the public stage nearly that whole day. And she was standing next to now President LBJ. I mean, what, hours after losing her husband? In a public way. And Carol's book does a really nice job of kind of going through how she quickly snapped on a public face and knew her place.
And they
in
were
history.
very good to her, according to her.
The Johnsons.
Yes. They were very good
Yes.
to her on that day and throughout her, because she had some wild choices. You know, she wanted to have the similar burial as Lincoln.
Yes.
And that's why the walk
Yes.
took place, and
Yes.
and this is all according to that recent movie. But on her talk as well, you know, she decided to stop the walk, and then brought it back and the Secret Service was just like, are you kidding me? We're on for the walk, then we were off for the walk, and it was it was a long procession, and
I mean, think about. I mean, I know in my own life, and I'm not going to say what it is. I can think about the times that I've been really sad. To have to have done those things on the stage she did with no preparation.
Right. You can't.
There was no there was no real time to prepare to grieve. The strength Jackie Kennedy Onassis had. I really don't think she gets enough credit.
Yeah,
Well,
she
it
was
really,
amazing.
it really speaks a lot to the character of a person, I think, when you see them under extraordinary stress.
Yeah.
Right? Uncommon,
Yeah.
highly unusual situations like that. It would have been, you're right, it would have been very easy for her to just disappear.
Right. And
Right?
would
Under a
anybody have
veil
faulted her?
and then behind a door and then be gone. And nobody would have faulted her.
Right.
No one would have faulted
Yeah.
Jackie Kennedy Onassis if she, or at the time Jackie Kennedy, when LBJ was being sworn in, if she said, I don't want to be,
Right.
I'm going to be somewhere else.
Sure.
And in that outfit.
Right.
And she said, I want them to see
let
what
them
they
see what
they did to my
I
husband.
mean, talk about somebody who needed to quickly understand her place in history as it's being made and not make a misstep
Yeah.
anywhere.
And I will plug the annual business meeting again if I could at this particular moment in
Please.
time, because during the procession, our guest speaker for the annual business meeting was literally, if you see any of the pictures of Jackie and Bobby and Ted, Paul Landis is immediately the next row behind the Kennedys during the procession.
Was he running next to the car?
He was in the car behind. The one gentleman that ran was Jackie's Secret Service agent that ran onto the car and yeah.
Interesting.
And
Yeah, and it's a great listen because you hear her smoking like an absolute fiend, and you hear the ice cubes of her drink throughout the whole taping. It's.
Was she a big drinker?
I maybe right then and there. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Oh boy! All right, I'm impressed with the Volunteer Service Award. Tell me more about that because I love the President's Volunteer Service Award from the Corporation for National and Community Service.
So I am a member of the North Royalton Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT, CERT.
Yes, CERT. I know the ones from Orange.
Yep.
Pepper Pike, Orange.
Each community or like a bunch of communities can kind of have one. And I didn't even know about that, but the gentleman or the team that runs the North Royalton one keeps track of the volunteer time. And apparently I met the requirements for that award, which was like the minimum requirements. We have people, I think I did whatever amount of service hours I needed to do. We had people at the same time I received that award that had done, I think, double, triple, or quadruple that amount of time. And
this is a group of individuals, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if there were a missing child, if there were some type of hurricane or
Tornado.
natural disaster, this group comes together and is trained to be an additional asset to the first responders.
Yes, you're 100% correct, and it's all volunteer, and it's really enjoyable. But
and have you had to take action?
Only in practices.
Okay, that's wonderful. But I'm a huge fan of volunteering, and that always impresses me. And then this was the networking star.
Yeah.
Twice, 15
Pointing at the
and
magazine
16. And then the American Chamber of Commerce executives, I don't know why that would impress me, membership development division, or interest me, I shouldn't say impress, interest me. Tell me more about that total new sales, national sales contest.
Sure. What was that, 2015?
16.
I feel like this has turned into a job interview. Doesn't it sound like...
I need to know if
Paul,
he's
how would you be an asset to this organization?
Right for me. And tell me about the ring. I keep looking at the ring.
So, I'm sure you recognize it.
It's a Padua?
It's a so...
Cavs championship ring.
So I have worn
2000.
my Padua Franciscan class ring since I received it as a junior.
So because it's a cool looking ring, it doesn't look like a class ring.
Just real quick, one of the nice things about the Padua ring that I have is the original graduating class came up with a design. So there is a uniform design for the men, because Padua was originally all boys. So I was in a meeting yesterday, and this guy kept kind of looking at me strange, kind of giving me the side eye, and I'm thinking, is it not like beards? What is it? And finally we arrive at the fact that he went to Padua, and he was able to immediately identify me as a fellow Padua graduate by the ring. So I like to say this is my calling card into Padua. Into Padua.
I'm laughing more because you said side eye,
Well,
which is I think now is my new favorite word.
Go for it.
And also that you thought it was the beards.
Flop sweat is out.
Dude, I'm telling you, I still have people when I'm going door to door that tell me, that beard, you got to get rid of that beard.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
I think there's definitely people who
don't
don't like beer. There's just...
And I think it's generational. I think it's definitely generational. There was this thought...
their opinions.
Keep their opinions to yourselves.
And there was this thought that, be clean shaven.
Yeah. Well...
I'm not one of them, though.
Right.
No.
And thankfully, neither is my wife.
Yeah, well,
my wife favors me bearded versus clean shaven.
That would be off if
she's the boss.
If she didn't. So when I found out about Paul going to Padua, obviously I brought up my dad being one of the coaches there. That was, I think, one of his first or second jobs. It was at Padua high school. And I think you did find one person that maybe remembered him or talked about him or something.
What I want to know is why do they pronounce Padua, but Mantua, Manaway? Did you ever notice that? You ever tell someone from Mantua that they say you're from Mantua? They're like, no, it's Manaway.
It is Manaway.
But it's spelled just like Padua.
I don't know.
Just saying. Manaway people should really get
tomato.
their stuff together. Paul.
Picking a fight with Manaway?
I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope they come
I
over
want
here
all
right
those
now.
Manaway people to call in, and I think it's time for the lightning round.
It is.
Whatever you want to do. This is fun.
Isn't it fun?
Yes.
It's so much fun. If you want to be a guest, give us a buzz. Email us. Let us know.
Yeah.
We're on our next round. We're booked until the end of March, and then we'll start. We have a whole new list of our people.
And I think I booked this in like November or
I know,
October.
By the way,
we're popular.
I mean,
I
this is
know.
a long waiting line, man.
Paul's most important position, way more important than city council or any of the other things that we've just talked about, is the advisory board to the We Solve Problems essay contest.
Yes, it is.
Which I agreed to immediately.
Paul, a founding member of the advisory board, right? The inaugural advisory board,
Yes.
Paul was a member of.
Yes.
Maybe potentially a life member.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think he did sign
if
to
you're
that.
gracious enough to keep me.
He did sign that.
That's true. Paul,
Yeah.
can you think of an embarrassing thing that about you that no one else knows about?
Yes.
Okay. Paul, can you tell
Yes.
us about the embarrassing thing that no one else knows about?
Nope.
I promise we'll turn the thing
We
off.
really,
Yeah, sure you will.
we really need
in the vault.
Rob Saps to come out.
It's coming out this week.
Yeah, so that
So hold on, we're not letting Paul off the
Other
hook just
people.
because he's in the public eye. Paul, come on. There's got to be something.
something you can share with us to bring us all
The
to that
voters
level
will-
that we're all human.
The voters will forgive you. Oh, he's got something in mind. You could tell. The only question is, do I say it or not say it? If you don't say it, here's what I'm going to tell you. We're going to find out. One way or another.
And the only reason nobody knows it is because they're too young to realize it. But I have a tendency to mix up my own kids' names
Okay.
to them.
Okay.
And it's embarrassing because I'm the oldest of 5. And for years we've teased our parents
Oh yes.
that they do it.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents will run through a Rolodex of names sometimes. And I like to tease them the most because I'm the oldest. And I say, mine's the name you've been saying the longest. You should always guess me first. And now,
And you only have 2.
Right, and an example of history repeating itself sometimes, and I have been guilty when I've shown people pictures of my children of telling them the wrong name. Because oh yeah, this is one son's name and it's a picture of the other. And I know they don't know it, and I don't correct myself, but I know it. So that's something that I'm the only one that knows.
Not anymore.
Paul,
And even worse, the very first time I picked my younger son up, from daycare, so I go to pick him up, and all babies, 3 months old or so, look the same. I actually stood there, and I don't think the staff realized it, but I stood there and looked at all the kids, and I'm like, oh man, one of these is mine.
Oh my
And
God.
I swear to you, I thought to myself, if I bring the wrong kid home, my wife's gonna. So that's the thing is the first time I had to double clutch and look at it and go, which one of these is mine?
Oh my gosh.
Paul,
Yeah.
your biggest failure, defined any way you want to define failure. But you have to convey what the definition is.
Is the time going to keep running, or can you edit out how long it takes me to think of it? Can you edit out the time? I don't want this long period of dead air.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Did he fall down?
It's all right. She could do a Jeopardy theme song.
Oh,
That is your jam.
No. If you're asking me what I hope to one day do, it's be on Jeopardy.
Is that right?
And I have, and this is not my biggest failure, but I have tried out for Jeopardy on the online test.
Is that right?
And you would think the president or the Pope was calling me the level of like lock the door, like check and make sure if my internet goes down, here's a backup way. I mean, you would have thought.
And
like,
how long is the process of that?
Well, I haven't made it past the online test part, and they don't tell you your score, which frustrates me.
Well, what's the online? How long does that take?
I think like an hour.
Okay.
But it is the most, and I've taken the SAT. I've taken a number of. The most stressful test I've ever taken is the Jeopardy test.
You know that dude Andy Chu?
Yes.
That was at our Blossom Time party last year.
Really?
Yeah, you know that cat?
Arthur
Chu, that was it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Andy. I mean Arthur.
Him too.
So
why don't we have him on our podcast?
I don't know.
He's a voiceover artist too, and he's pretty active on Twitter, by the way.
Huh.
And
How was he at your party?
He
what does he know?
He was a co-worker of one of the folks that worked here at that time. Come on, Paul. I can think of a million disappointing failures that I had just yesterday.
Yeah, but you said my biggest.
Well, don't be a perfectionist. Like, if it's in the top 10, that'll work.
So it was not me specifically, but it was something I was a part of. Okay? I worked very, very hard for a great judicial candidate who did not win. And I feel this person should have won. And it was because, obviously we've all supported various candidates at the national that we've never met personally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Was this last year?
This was somebody who I knew personally. I had known them for years. And I Alex, I know you're an attorney, so I know you have an interest in the legal field, the judicial branch.
Sure.
Who serves as a judge.
Need good judges.
This person, great character, did everything they needed to do. Unfortunately, just came up short. And I view it as a failure because I'm not convinced I did everything I could have.
Wow.
And it is that butterfly effect kind of thought of, if I had done more, what would the ripples have been?
Do you think about that a lot?
I do.
So that's interesting, because I've been thinking about regret in general a lot lately, right? And here, let me pour that for you. You're our guest. Would you have a seat, please?
As long as you tell them
it's
what
non-negotiable.
Because it's local.
You're right. This is the Cleveland Christmas Collector's Edition bourbon whiskey.
Yeah.
Spice-flavored bourbon whiskey.
It's another example of cool stuff we're doing in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people that are from this area, kind of have that chip on their shoulder of, we know we're a world-class city, and I can't tell you how happy I am that other people are starting to see.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to the Indians thing.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot lately about...
I'm good if you're going to pour.
Would you like some more?
No, thank you.
No?
No, because I've got a dinner.
Yeah.
About regret in general, right? And it's interesting because...
She's good.
I thought maybe she'd change her mind. Because
Trying to get me all liquored up there, Alex Kurtzberg.
Well, no, we were going to cheers with the councilman. Here's the thing about regret, right? Is logically, right? It only makes sense if it's a learning experience, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's happened. There's whatever you're regretting is done. You can't do anything about it. You can't change it, right? So, if you're a pragmatic person, which you are, and which all of us are, I think, then it makes no sense to have that emotion, right? But you can't help it because we're human, right? And I spend a lot of time trying to be, logical and practical with my emotions, and it's interesting to me. I'm reading this book right now called *Sapiens*.
Okay.
Right? Oh man, you gotta.
Probably
it's
not.
440 pages. You'll never read it.
As long as it's on audio.
Well, it is.
If
but
I can download it to my phone and plug that into my...
But here's the thing. I actually listened to it as an audiobook and am now reading it, and it's amazing how much I missed just listening to it. My mind tends to wander when I listen anyway.
Right.
You could probably...
He's very ADD.
I understand.
But there is, I think, an evolutionary function that regret has, right?
Yeah.
It is a moral compass, right? But there is definitely, I think, people. I think that regret is also conditioned, right? And if you come from a family background, or maybe it's a religious background where where guilt is prevalent, right? Or where there's a lot of social pressure, you're going to have, I think, more regret, right? Would you say Catholics?
Mm-hmm. Although right here, Catholic and Jews, that's got to be the
Jewish guilt is like the worst thing in the world. Yeah,
right?
but
I don't know. We're pretty close.
But I thought that I trained regret right out of me, right? Other than to the extent that I can learn from it, right? But it is one of those emotions that if you have any kind of social pressure growing up, right, which most humans do, right? Most people who are part of some tribe, whether it's your neighborhood or your religion or your family or whatever your tribe is, right? Whatever social pressures you experience growing up, regret becomes hardwired into your thinking, and it's unavoidable, even though it makes no sense, you know.
And if I misspoke earlier, I want to clarify.
Yeah.
I'm not passing an opinion on the person that won the judicial race.
Thank you for clarifying.
My focus is because I
Yeah.
knew this person so well, and I knew they would make a great judge. I looked at it as, what could I have done more to make sure that person? So it's in no way. That's why I'm not using names either.
Right.
And was it a super, super close race where you feel like
that might give away?
Like you might have felt like if I just would have spent that extra hour, or
see, this might be a way, Molly, that our brains are different. Any difference in the results, huge or slim, I still feel the same way. So it's not a matter of it was only 100 votes. It was a matter of what more could have been done to help this person, because I knew them, and I knew them long before they ever considered being a candidate. So it's not as if this is somebody that I met, you know, I mean, you figure an election cycle maybe is 2 years, 18 months, that I had only known for 2. This is somebody I had known prior to me being elected, prior to them even considering running that I was aware of to be a judge. And it was, what more could I have done to help? I mean, it's not logical, and I know it's not logical, but it is that feeling of, and it's something that I do carry with me to this day, of knowing what could I have done? What have I learned from that going forward?
Well, and the learning piece makes sense, but anything above and beyond that, it just uses up so much of your energy, your time.
So you mentioned that I went to Padua. There was a group there called Teen Institute, or TI. It's interesting because they're against underage drinking, and we're all over 21. But there's
barely.
And I forget the exact name of the prayer, but it's something along the lines of, you ask God to give you the wisdom to change the things you can.
It's the serenity to accept the things you cannot change, the courage to change things you can,
and the wisdom to know the difference. And it's one of those. It's one of those things of, and it's why I'm really glad I was able to go to Padua.
Yeah.
Because it gives you that kind of backstop of knowing at some point things are out of your control. Right. It is that higher power.
Yeah.
That's why I'm glad I'm a Knight of Columbus too.
I don't know where you
My
find
dad's
the time,
a knight.
Molly,
I surround myself with good people, and I do.
So you want to ask your lightning round question, Molly?
Yeah. So do you have a woman or maternal figure in your life that was very influential to make you who you are today?
So I knew this question coming in.
Is her name Molly Gebler?
And I think you usually limit it to not someone's mom, right?
No, you can.
Okay, well...
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I
want it to be your mom.
I think if we grant the premise, my mom is awesome.
Okay, well, that's my point.
So, granting the premise, my mother really has shaped me. and I don't want that to be like a cop-out answer.
No. That's
my mom's awesome.
I'm trying to prove that people that have a mother who is there and focused and supportive and tend to be great people.
But if I could, I'd also like to mention.
Yes, you may.
So if we grant the premise that my answer is mom.
Yes. Or
And
she'll call in and.
No, it is mom. I mean,
Okay.
my if my mother ever listens to this, she'll be embarrassed that I've listed her because my mom is so just a nice lady. One other woman, and it's somebody who challenged me. Her name was Trudy Sternagel. She was a professor at Kent State University. Her life towards the end had a tragic ending, but she challenged me as a student and did not let me get away. She challenged me to go to my full potential. She was unlike any woman I've ever met in my life, prior and since. She was just a hell of a professor. Really.
What class?
See, it's frustrating because I'd have to look at my transcripts. I honestly don't remember what class she taught me because even
That's
after...
funny because that's not what was important. It's not what she
and
taught
even
you.
after I was no longer her student, I would still seek her out. And I would still...
There's movies about that. Yeah.
Battle is the wrong word, but I would seek her out to debate. Because A, brilliant. B, could put her brilliance into words. And she was gracious enough to debate somebody who was below her in skill, intelligence, and experience. Trudy Sternagel at Kent State University has had a phenomenal impact on my life.
Is she still there?
No, she unfortunately passed away. And it's a tragic tale, but unfortunately, Trudy Sternagel is no longer at Kent, nor is she no longer with us.
Paul.
Were you super proud, Super Bowl, to see the Kent State commercial? It's the second year in a row that they
I
ran a
tweeted
commercial.
the moment that, and by the way, I am incredibly overjoyed. I can't find the right word about Beverly Warren, who's the current
My
president of
daughter
Kent State.
goes to Kent,
Yeah.
you know that, and she is a goddess
So
on campus.
Beverly Warren's the 12th president of the Kent State University, and I used my seniority at COSI, the Greater Cleveland Partnership. I found out we were sponsoring any event we sponsor that Beverly Warren is speaking at. There's a likelihood I will try and attend. Because
Could you bring me as a guest? Because
I
I'd
would
love
love
to meet her.
She spoke at the City Club, and I'm a member of the City Club too. And the moment that came out, I'm calling, emailing, because I knew she is exactly what I want.
And the kids,
Yeah.
like they call her Bev.
Yeah.
On campus, and she is out, and she's at the football game, and going through breast cancer as well, which she's unbelievable. She's made such a difference at that school. And
She probably wants to do this podcast.
There we go.
Come on, Bev.
Alex, I'm going to tell you right now, if you bring President Warren in this podcast, you better eat your Wheaties for a week.
Is that right?
We're right here.
Beverly.
Write it down.
You have your A game if President Warren comes on this podcast, because
on.
she is so
Sounds
smart.
like a challenge to me.
Yeah.
No, it's not a challenge. I'm just
No, I
letting
mean
you know.
a challenge to get her. Like
Well, she is. I don't even know how I got on President Warren, but
Well,
you're proud
because you were
of
talking
Kent.
about Trudy.
Trudy Sternagel,
Yeah.
Kent State University. Again, I don't even remember what she taught me. I don't even remember the grade I got in the class. I just remember having a relationship with her, and that's what I think you want from a teacher, a professor.
Right.
I have a woman that taught me at Padua named Joan Jalivo, who is that way as well. And the only reason I didn't list her was I wasn't mature enough yet. I was still in high school. I think if Joan had been my professor at Kent State or in college, I would have listed her.
Right.
But I wasn't at the point yet
To
to fully
appreciate.
use all that could have been.
Right.
But just great. I mean, there's just so many great people. You know, it takes a village.
Paul, do you ever have limiting beliefs? Do you know what I mean by that?
No, I don't. And I was going to ask you before we started, but I got here late because.
Yeah. So.
She had to pick up your popcorn.
Right.
Well, I had to get.
For Christy.
Anytime I come here, I go and one of the reasons I like the
Well, you
popcorn
should-
shop is I love my favorite thing to read is Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, I like that
If
stuff. That's good stuff right there.
I have the complete 3-volume bound edition,
Yeah.
which the Brexel Library is glad I have because I was going there weekly and printing one out a day.
Yeah, that was my all-time
You
favorite
should keep
comic
this and
for
this
sure.
could be your Valentine's gift for
This comes out after Valentine's Day, right? So my wife won't know I'm getting it, right?
her. Right.
Okay,
Right.
good.
Yeah. Because Valentine's Day next week.
It's
right?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Reservations
So,
are made already.
Limiting beliefs.
Limiting
Yes.
belief.
Right. So do you ever wrestle with a self-limiting or self-negative thought like, I don't think I can do this, or
Yeah.
so give me an example and tell me how you deal with it.
So, I don't know where the phrase originally came from or if it comes from anywhere else, but there was an episode of The West Wing, a television show that
I loved that.
I'm
show.
sure you're surprised that
I
I
have to.
still binge watch on Netflix.
I haven't seen that one. I
Really?
Have to, yeah. I have
I'm
to
surprised.
see that one.
It was a
So
great show.
there is, and West Wing fans out there, forgive me. There's an episode where President Bartlett talks about throwing his cap over the wall.
I remember that episode.
And
Yeah.
the purpose of that is, once you throw your cap over the wall, you have no other option but to
Go
go
get
over,
it.
to figure out how to get over the wall
That's right.
to get your hat back.
Yeah.
So what I have found is I put myself in situations that I have to figure out how to succeed. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities I've had in my life that I just have to figure out a way to succeed. So I proverbially, whatever the word is,
You got it. Yeah.
throw my cap over the wall, and I have to figure out a way to go get it back.
Huh.
So as an example, I'm in the Knights of Columbus. I was one of the founding members of the chapter or the council that I'm in Broadview Heights, because that was the church that invited us. We decided to put on an event that I had never done before, but we set the date, we sent out invitations. Guess we better figure out what to do.
Yeah.
I ran for office, which, by the way, running for office is vastly different than being in office.
Right.
Ran for office. I got more votes than the person I ran against. I guess I better figure out how to be an elected official.
Yeah.
Got myself onto Padula's board. I guess I better figure out. I end up
That
working.
Cozy you mentioned.
I end up working for Cozy and the Greater Cleveland Partnership. I had no real experience in that particular arena, in that particular field. I guess I better figure it out.
So what I'm hearing is the way you address or handle limiting beliefs is you kind of ignore them. You just keep walking.
Well, I box myself in.
Yeah.
That
No, I love it.
I don't
love
want to fail, so I better figure out a way to succeed.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is going to come as a surprise. I don't really enjoy public speaking. But
Really?
I would rather succeed at public speaking than fail at it.
Yeah.
So I better figure out how to do it.
It's most people's biggest fear, even more than snakes. Snakes is the second one.
Microphone's my best friend.
Yeah. and so that's it's
Good. No, that's a good
So
answer.
I do,
Yeah.
and there are times that I've passed on opportunities, but sometimes I kind of remind myself, this is for an opportunity. This is why I came back to Cleveland, to Cuyahoga County.
Right.
And if I have this opportunity, if God is putting this in my path, and He thinks I can handle it, who am I to doubt Him?
Right. Right.
Not to get too,
Yeah.
you know.
No, that's a good answer. With that sentiment, we should conclude this noble enterprise. There's a million people listening to this podcast. Are you working on anything? Do you want people to do
I
something?
mean, that was a limiting belief too.
What's that?
I'm on a podcast.
Well,
This is the first time I've ever been on a podcast.
you knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
man.
I feel like you're biased.
And speaking of our podcast, could we share with our listeners and with everybody that we are now on Stitcher?
That's big news right
It's
there.
big news.
And iTunes.
And iTunes.
Yeah.
So find us, subscribe to us. We have the 1,000 challenge out there.
Right.
I am currently beating Alex.
It's not a competition.
As it is.
No, it's not.
I'm winning.
Good.
It's a competition until I'm losing, and then
Of
it's
course.
not a competition anymore.
Maybe I'm letting you win just because I know how important it is for you to win.
Yes, because that's what men do.
Right.
So
That was
please subscribe.
sexist.
Visit our Go Make a Poster in
Yeah.
March. Yes, subscribe, be a part of it. We
Leave a
want
comment.
come listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. We want you to be a part of it. Like
And
us
then-
on Facebook.
All right. Later, everyone. Thank you for
It'll be
listening.
amazing.
Bye.